first grade families, and welcome to This Month in Math. So this month in math, your first graders are going to be working on skills in computation and estimation, as well as in number sense.
So what can families expect from us each month, Mrs. Hill?
So each month we're going to be covering what your first graders are going to be doing in their classroom. We're going to show you practical ways that they can work on this with their learners at home. Any questions you might have, you can ask us, you can reach out to your teachers, and just really helping you to be able to support your first graders at home.
Okay, so in our first strand in computation estimation, what are our first graders going to be covering in the month of October?
So in October, they are going to be representing both visually as well as symbolically story and picture problems within addition and subtraction within 10.
Okay, what will that look like in their classrooms?
So they're going to be reading story problems. One of those will be story problems. And so that might look like Janet has 3 apples. Amy gave her 7 more. How many apples does she have? So they'll be solving for that, and they'll be representing their thinking in some way, shape, or form, visually.
Okay. So what could that representation look like? So if we're saying visually and symbolically, those are 2 different ways. What might that look like in a first grade classroom?
So if your first grader read that same problem, Janet has 3 apples, Amy gave her 7 more, they might represent that through drawing pictures, so pictorially. So they might draw 3 apples plus 7 more equals, and then they would be counting all to figure out the answer.
Okay, and so what does counting all look like?
So counting all is that 1-to-1 correspondence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So in first grade, we really want to move them away from counting all to counting on. What would that look like in the classroom?
Counting on would mean they know by looking at these without needing to count that there are 3. Then they are counting on. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What are they going to learn about the symbols we're using in addition and subtraction?
So they're going to be learning that addition is joining 2 numbers, quantities together, and they will learn that subtraction is when you are taking away quantities, and then also the equal sign. That would be how many are joined together for the sum, or the difference would be in a subtraction problem when they're subtracting numbers.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Hill, we really want them to understand that what they're seeing on the left side of the equal sign is equal to what they're going to see on the right hand side,
exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
You want them to really understand that relationship, that in this equation, what happens on the left side is equivalent or equal to what's on the right side of the equation.
It's balanced.
It's a balance. Good. Thank you. It's a good mathematical word. Anything else in this strand?
Making sure that they're justifying, they're reasoning, they're giving you their answer of how they know. So always making sure that you are asking them after they solve.
I think that sums it up. All right, the second strand your students are going to be learning about is number sense. Mrs. Hill, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So your first grader will be working on accurately counting a sequence of numbers forward from 0 to 120, and also from any number to 120. So what that might look like is, instead of your first grader starting at 0, you might give them the number 23 and tell them to start at 23 and count all the way up to 120.
Is it a big deal if they miss a number?
Yes, it is. You want them to be self-correcting. You don't want to have to prompt them, hold up, did you just miss a number? They really want to make sure that they're hitting every single number in the sequence, and if they do make a mistake, they don't have to start back all over. Just make sure they self-correct and get themselves back on track.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, we're also counting backward from 20 in this same time frame.
Yes.
So what does that look like?
So counting backwards from 20 can start at 20, counting all the way backwards to 0, or also again starting at any number between 0 and 20. So start at 15 and count backwards. Again, they want to make sure that they are aware of their counting, and if they miss a number, to self-correct themselves to get back on track.
Okay. Another really large part of this learning they're going to do in October is around groupings. Can we kind of talk through that?
Sure. So they are grouping groups of 10 and counting by tens to 120. So what might a group of 10 look like?
So if we're grouping by tens, your students will probably use a variety of manipulatives in their classrooms. So they might use base 10 blocks. We're not going to just show you that today, but they might be given, for example, I have some cubes and some unifix cubes on the table. And so we really want students to understand the quantity of 10. Like our number system is based on quantities of 10, the base 10 relationship. And so we want students to understand that if I ask you to make a group of 10, what does that look like? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They may not be counting by twos yet to do that, but we do want them to understand that this one group is 10 individual ones. So one of these is one unit. Together, it makes 10.
Mm-hmm. So they're also going to be making sure they're counting by tens to 120. So that would look like 10, 20, 30, and so on, all the way up to 120.
Perfect. I would like to take a moment just to kind of display for parents how they might represent a quantity. So another thing they're going to be asked to do is to represent a quantity or a number using that kind of tens relationship. So if a student were asked to build, let's say 23, we're going to show them here how to represent that. And so that might look like, so this representing 10, a rod. I know it looks like an 11 here. Let me actually make it a rectangle for you so you can see. When they use base 10 blocks, a rod in first grade will be representing 10. And so they might have one rod, which when they see them are individualized into 10 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So students would understand that this unit of 10 is actually 10 units of 1. So here would be 10, 20, and then they might just show the 3 individual units. And so this will make more sense when you kind of see it come home on your students' paper. They'll have lots of practice with the base 10 blocks in class, but they'll also be expected to be able to represent those quantities visually.
Yes, and absolutely, to piggyback off of that, they are describing that number with the amount of tens and ones. So I was able to make the number 23 with 2 tens and 3 ones. I know that because when I count, that's 10, 20, 21, 22, 23.
So Mrs. Hill just reinforced counting on for you. She counted by tens, and then when they, from 20, counting on would be that 21, 22, 23. Perfect.
So we are also writing numbers 0 to 120 in and out of order. You are seeing this coming home, I'm certain, for their homework and their classwork. You might see something called a hundreds chart, and that looks like a big box that has numbers from 0 to 100 or 120 that they're able to write their numbers in order, but also out of order. So again, starting at a number other than 0, that might be starting at 13 or 64, and being able to write in those numbers correctly up to 120.
I think that covers our number sense strand for the month of October.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but this is a lot for first graders. So we are absolutely here to partner with you in this. Be looking for those kind of representations to come home. If you're still unsure when your child has something coming home, you can reach out to the teacher or to Mrs. Hill and I, and we can kind of send home some additional models to example, so that you'll have examples, of kind of what to look at and how to work with them at home on these pieces. Okay, thanks for tuning in.